Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Career Pivots and Second Acts, the ultimate telesummit for your mid-career transition. I'm your host, Tajan Birenderis, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to Madeline Mann. Now, Madeline is an HR leader in the tech industry with expertise in building purpose-driven, dynamic company cultures that always bring that personal element into every business decision. Now, Madeline is the actual creator of a YouTube channel called Self-Made Millenial, where she's providing battle-tested, rapid-fire job search and career advice. Madeline's work has been featured in a number of huge media outlets, including Business Insider, Career Contessa, Ladders, Newsweek, just to name a few. Madeline has a background in psychology as well as a master's degree in organizational development. It's my pleasure to have Madeline, bring her really broad and vast expertise to this summit. Madeline, welcome.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Tajan. I'm so happy to be here.
All right, happy to have you. So today, just so folks know, we're going to be specifically talking about LinkedIn and how that relates to folks who are transitioning careers. So with that, maybe we'll just dive into these questions that we have. So a lot of mid-career transitioners, as we know, might never have had to use LinkedIn as part of a job search before. So if you've been in your field for 15 years, 20 years, LinkedIn just didn't exist at all. That just wasn't something for you to do. You submit a resume and a cover letter and that's it. That's the process. So given that context, what would be the most important steps for a mid-career transitioner to take to step up their LinkedIn presence?
Absolutely. So yeah, it can be a bit daunting diving into LinkedIn, especially if that profile has been a bit dormant. But I love that you're bringing up this topic because I just want to really emphasize that this is how a lot of companies find most of their employees is through LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was talking to a recruiter at a massive product company that I'm sure all of us, many of us use their product every day. She said, sometimes since we get so many applicants, we just go on to LinkedIn and find people who are qualified there because it's actually a quicker process to just reach out to people over LinkedIn. So I just want to emphasize that these little tips, these will help you so that you're found by these people. Mm-hmm. And so one thing to know is that when you're a mid-career transitioner, once we get to the rebranding stage where you're redoing your LinkedIn profile, I'm going to assume that you've already done the other steps, right? Where you've done some self-discovery about exactly what you want, the kind of what you want. You've built some skills around it. You've gotten a little bit of experience, either on your own time or building projects. And so anyway, so when you get to the branding part, the first thing to know is, so you have that headline up top, right? On your LinkedIn, mm-hmm. That's what basically goes right under your name. Mm-hmm. And you can customize that to be anything. It doesn't actually have to be your current role. And what I actually tell people is that your headline should point to your new career, not your old career. Mm-hmm. So let's say that you are an office admin and you want to become a marketer. You could put your headline as a digital marketing professional. Mm-hmm. And so the reason why is at your current job, I'm guessing, you've been proactive to take up a few, digital marketing tasks at your current role, or maybe you've built these skills and you're flexing them outside of the job. Mm-hmm. But one thing that people always think is that you need someone to grant you and say, now you're a digital marketing professional. I've given you this job, so now I deem you this professional. Yeah. No, if you are building those skills, if you are making those things happen, you are becoming that type of professional and you can brand yourself that way.
Right. Totally.
So, yeah. And then another thing that I think is really important is the summary. So this is where people go wrong with the summary on your profile, which is that big text space, kind of at the very top of your profile, is that they will start just self-describing, where they'll say, I am an organized, driven, great collaborator, professional. And those are empty words. And instead, make your summary a time for you to be an authentic human, right? So tell your authentic story and find a through line. Those are the two most important things. So the first one is explain why you're making a career switch in your summary. Give your reasons, show your passion. Most people's career paths, if you've noticed, are not linear. So this is your chance to come across as actually human and relatable. And also, dazzle in some impressive things that you've done in your past. And then the second thing is finding a through line. So if you have had several different roles in your past, find what's in common with them. So if we're going to take that same example of going from an office admin to a marketing professional, maybe the through line that you could talk about is how you've always had a knack for internal and external communications at a company, and talk through a few examples in your career and how those led to your interest in a career in marketing. Yeah.
So definitely making sure that you take advantage of your headline and making sure that you really create those really clear through lines, which I think, some folks are probably not necessarily thinking about the importance of doing that. So that's really a helpful tip for sure.
Right. There's actually one more that I definitely want to mention that I realized is, how at the bottom of your profile, there's endorsements.
Yeah.
And people will endorse you for random stuff, and it seems almost kind of pointless. But one thing you'll find is that actually the search results point a lot to those endorsements. So someone who's endorsed heavily for, project management, they are going to get a lot more recruiters looking at them for project management roles. And so one thing that I've found for people who are career transitioning is that they will have so many endorsements for things that are obviously for their old career, but when they switch, it's the wrong skills. Like, for example, I used to be in journalism, so you'll see some of my endorsements are really heavy on writing and editing. Yeah. And one thing you can do there is you can pin your top 3 favorite skills to the top of your endorsements. So make those, even they might have only just 1 or 0 endorsements, still pin them, because you want people to be encouraged to endorse those instead of your old career skills. And then make sure you fill in all the other skills that you think would be good for your career transition, and then go start endorsing other people. And I've even told people explicitly, hey, these are the types of roles I'm going after. Can you please focus your endorsements on me on these types of skills? And I know it feels kind of weird to ask people that, but as long as you're endorsing them first, which feels really nice and fuzzy, they'll likely want to reciprocate.
Right. That is really helpful to know, Madeline. I mean, I'm sure people know the importance of endorsements, but a lot of folks probably aren't aware of, the optimization that happens in the back end with the technology, right?
Yeah.
And that's really crucial.
Exactly. And I think that, it's become where if you're endorsing other people, there's actually now your face will show up. Like if I go and endorse you, and it's a skill that I already have on my profile, my picture of my face might show up next to that skill. And weirdly enough, that's more exposure for me. So I'm actually then benefiting from endorsing you. Or if I write a recommendation on your profile, then when people visit you, they see my face. So these are kind of little extra tidbits to get yourself more out there.
What do you see as some of the really common mistakes that particularly mid-career transitioners who've never really touched LinkedIn before, they might have a really basic profile because they've had to create one with their current job. So what are some common mistakes that people are making? And
I would say the one that's just very blatant that I should definitely call out is people hop on LinkedIn and just be like, all right, the best thing for me to do is just say I'm seeking new opportunities in this field. And while to you, in your mind, you're like, this is what I want, so I'm going to tell people what I want. Really, your headline and your profile should be what you can give into the world. This is the value I can add to you. So imagine if you just saw a bunch of articles, you're trying to decide which article to do, and the articles are just saying, please read me. We're trying to get more readers. Read this article. Like that's talking about what the article wants, not, hey, these are 5 tips to make the most effective LinkedIn profile. Like, okay, now you're showing your value. So just don't write seeking new opportunities. It's not really going to help you at all. The second thing that I've noticed is when people are making a career transition, sometimes they have the safety blanket of their old career and they're not really willing to let go of it. And so they have very mixed branding on their LinkedIn profile. So they'll say, I'm an office admin / digital marketer, and I can do both. And I'm looking for both types of jobs, because I totally get it. Making a career leap is very kind of scary, and there's a lot of rejection, and you just don't want to leave behind all this expertise that you had. But that's why it's really important that you really understand that this is the best path for you. You've done your informational interviews. You've really dug deep into this new profession you're going for, and then you go at it full force, because I mean, I'm sure you'll agree with me, job searching is pretty much a full-time job. And if you're not searching for the things that this career that you really want, then in a few years down the road, you're going to make a switch again, and it's going to make you make another lateral move. So I think if you're kind of mixed branding and not letting go of your old career, think about, am I actually confident about this career move? Or if I'm not, like, maybe it's not time to move, and maybe I need to keep, soul searching a bit more.
Yeah. Or even, and also kind of continuing to take on projects that, really build your resume and help you feel more confident,
Yes, exactly. And I think that something that people also don't realize that they can do is, when you're writing about, I'll just keep using the same example, that like if you're writing about your office admin job, and maybe you 20% of the time you were helping with social media, and you were helping create these flyers and these ads, you were just helping out with other teams. Make that all of your bullet points and all of your accomplishments on your LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn and your resume are not about giving a job description about what you did. It's about highlighting the most important information that people need to know about you. So don't be afraid to, it's not, lying or inaccurate if you just put the things that people want to hear, because they don't want to shuffle through all of this information. They'd rather you make it a smooth reader experience and tell me, okay, what skills did you learn in this job that directly apply to this new career trajectory?
Yeah, that's really helpful. And so from the perspective of like HR recruiters or hiring managers who are looking at LinkedIn, what do they tend to find most compelling in kind of the long, body of any LinkedIn profile? Or what 3 things are the most compelling?
What's the most compelling on a LinkedIn profile? I would say, someone who's focused. So having like an industry specific focus can make a big difference. And one way you can do that, if you aren't necessarily already in that industry, is you can start blogging about a certain industry, right? And you can put that on your LinkedIn profile, write for, maybe it's your local newsletter in town or your alma mater. It doesn't have to be something super flashy, but showing that you have taken the time to really get to know that industry more intimately. Mm-hmm. And again, no one's handing you this experience. You're going after it yourself, or you're just self-publishing these blog posts. So that's really interesting. Like and those are also just indicators of passion. The second thing that's compelling on a LinkedIn profile is an achiever pattern. So that is something that it doesn't matter if you're switching careers or if you've been in the same career the whole time. I personally, when I'm looking to hire someone and maybe they're not an exact perfect match for what I was looking for, I look for, do they step up to the plate every job they do? Are they passionate? Do they have this achiever pattern at their previous roles? So that's where really showing off your achievements, any awards you've gotten, adding, quantifying your value, that is really attractive. Mm-hmm. And then, I think it's just just having like an air of professionality. I know this is, kind of superficial, but when someone just has like a nice LinkedIn photo and it's not even that nice, it's just someone else is taking the photo of them. It's not a selfie. It's not some really far out photo. It's not from, 20 years ago. It's a recent photo where they're just smiling and just looking professional. Even that just makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how important are recommendations really to a profile in general?
I think what recommendations say to me is that they're taking LinkedIn seriously.
Yeah.
What they also say is that people are willing to put their reputations on the line and, publicly recommend you, which I think is a big deal. And you can definitely learn a lot from recommendations. I think it's like a really great practice to start writing them. I'm always about the reciprocity principle. So write them for other people and that will come back to you.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't have recommendations to your profile, it's okay. Like, just know that like, that's actually, I wouldn't say it's a make or break. So I don't want people to freak out, but I would say every 6 months, if you can get 1 or 2 people to write you another recommendation, that's really the best situation to be in. And ask people who, have worked with you recently, keeping it fresh. And what a lot of people do is they'll ask me, like, if we're talking about, hey, we'll write recommendations for each other, they'll say, what would you like me to focus on in your recommendation? Okay. Mm-hmm. And you can also tell people, hey, will you please write my recommendation? Now I'm transitioning to this new career where I really want you to focus on my ability to communicate and balance a bunch of like competing priorities. Can you do that? And that really is very helpful because, this person wants to be as helpful as possible, but they don't know exactly where you're going next. And so that direction, they'll actually appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. That's really helpful, Madeline. And I guess finally, we've talked a lot about all the profile components and how we can ensure that we're maximizing our use of them. And I think a lot of the tips that you've given are stuff that people might not know, or they might not think or realize it's as important as it is. How can folks really maximize LinkedIn as a tool to launch their new career?
Yes. So if you're talking about stepping it up a notch, like all these things are like things you should definitely do. Now this is, if you want to take it to the next level, I would say, first of all, you have to get over 500 connections. When you hit 500, it goes 500 plus, and the algorithm starts paying a lot more attention to you. And so if you are having trouble hitting that 500 mark, what you can do is you can type in the LinkedIn search bar, in quotes, I never IDK. Okay. So like, I don't know, but like, I never IDK, in quotations. Mm-hmm. You search for that, and then they'll come, thousands of people who write on their profile that they never IDK. And that means that they will not flag you as spam if you ask to connect with them. And so these are all people who consider themselves open networkers. So now you just add all those people, boom, you're up to 500. Mm-hmm. I personally haven't done that. I try to keep my network a little bit tighter, but sometimes, that might be good just to get you over that hump, so you're not like worried about it. Mm-hmm. Another point is that when you interact with other people's posts on LinkedIn, LinkedIn rewards you for that. So it's kind of, when you actually think about the way LinkedIn works, it's everything you do on the platform, it rewards you for being a good user, and it puts you in front of more people. So for example, there's like a point system that LinkedIn has. I think it's about like, if you like someone's post, your profile gets 1 point. If you comment, you get 2 points. If you share, you get 3 points, something like that. And so LinkedIn wants to push the people who are the most active on LinkedIn to the top of search results. Why? Because if a recruiter reaches out to that person, you want that recruiter's experience to be as great as possible, because you want someone who is actually checking their LinkedIn, who's actually responding. And so it's actually a better experience for everyone involved. So just start liking, commenting, being this active person on LinkedIn, and you will see way more views to your profile. You will get out there way more. And people always think they have to create a bunch of content. No, you just have to be engaged with other people's content. And then, as I said before about endorsing and recommending, your face pops up on other people's profiles. That's another pro tip. And then finally, if you do like to blog, if you post a blog post directly into LinkedIn, has this thing called like LinkedIn Publisher, where they will send more people to that blog post than if you were to link out to an external blog and post on LinkedIn. Because again, LinkedIn does not like it when you tell people to go click a link and leave their website. If you're creating your content on LinkedIn, they will reward you for that. Now, I'm not saying you're guaranteed to get tons of likes and lots of views, but that will get you more engagement, and that'll live on your profile. Like you can see, if you click my profile, there's articles there, and you can click and see more. And so those are just a few ways to get a little bit more like expert level with your LinkedIn use.
Right. Madeline, these are awesome tips. Basic tips, pro tips, and strategies. And I know that there's a lot more where that came from. Before we close, is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you think would be important for folks to know as it relates to this particular topic?
Yeah, I would say, I'll just stress one more time that LinkedIn is the place where people are getting hired as of today. And I know what I'm saying. There's a lot of things, and I actually created a checklist for you all to go through your LinkedIn profile and there's tips with each. It's a 7-point checklist, and each aspect of your LinkedIn profile, it's a step-by-step where you can go through your profile. Okay, does the summary look this way? Do my accomplishments look this way? And I kind of go through each one. So fortunately for everyone watching this right now, you will get a free PDF download that can help you a lot. So you can take that with you and make sure that you continue to update your profile and make sure it's top notch.
Awesome. So folks will have access to that, and that will be the link for that, as well as where you can find Madeline online, website, as well as social media, will all be in the interview notes. I can imagine a tool like that would just be immediately useful. I think, LinkedIn is a place where people almost go to fact check, in a sense.
Yes.
I feel like there's this sense that people don't lie about their experience, their career experience on LinkedIn, because it would be really hard to do so since all of these other bodies are also on LinkedIn. And, so it becomes a place where you can't really over embellish, or, to some degree, you have to, there's a certain sense of truth there. So, when we're saying that, hiring recruiters and hiring managers and recruiters are looking at LinkedIn at every level. So I would even expand that to, even if you're a consultant, a freelancer, anything, and somebody's looking to find you, they're probably going to fact check on LinkedIn, even after seeing your website, just to be like, well, that's her website, but let me fact check and see how it reads on LinkedIn. And those two things should sync. They should line up. And when they don't, people get a little bit more leery.
Exactly. I'm so glad you brought that up, because as you were saying that, I was trying to think of the last time where I looked at someone's resume and I didn't actually go to LinkedIn. I always do. I always double check. And it's exactly what you're saying. It's not necessarily that it has to have the same exact information, such as if you have your, dates and title and like company you worked at, like the bullet points underneath, you might have summarized it differently, whatever, but I'm looking to make sure those dates are the same, the roles are the same, like that the general content is similar. It's telling the same narrative. So yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Madeline, just for all the wisdom and your time, and for sharing all of these really helpful tips and strategies with people. I know that this will be beneficial, and these are all strategies that people can take action on right now. They can download your freebie and start taking some action now. And if folks are needing more help, they know how and where to reach out to career experts like yourself or me, who can help help you in your mid-career journey. Ultimately, folks shouldn't be doing this alone. There's so much help out there for you to get where you need to go with the least headache as possible.
Yes, that's a dream. It will be a headache, but we're trying to ease it.
Right. Well, thanks again, Madeline. And so with that, we'll close out this session. Thank you all for joining.
Thanks so much for having me.